next speaker now is Ian Hodson, who's the President of the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union.
It's a pleasure to be in Trade Union City. It's a pleasure to take part this week in activities to show the Tories they're not welcome in Manchester or in the North and nowhere in the country either. I mean, what's important to understand? What's important to understand, as Alex was outlining, is the change that's happening in our society. And I want to talk a bit about that in a few minutes. But I also want to add, to our support for the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union. So it was amazing. People have stood together in solidarity, from the PCS at the National Gallery, and congratulate Candy Unwin on that successful campaign, because it was an important campaign, and it was a campaign that our movement had to win. So we absolutely send a message of solidarity and congratulations to Candy Unwin and to the students' movement. Because, if it hadn't been for the students' movement, the trade union movement would still probably be thinking about what does it do to fight back about austerity. Because it was the students that went out on the streets and showed us how you fight back. When they made cuts, you fight back. And they went out and they protested and they demonstrated, which inspired people in my union and people like me to get off the arse and do something about fighting back. Thought we can't win. Well, it took the students' movement to show us, yes, you can if you stand together in solidarity. So I thank the students' movement, because I think that was at the right time and the right thing to do. And I know some people got into a bit of trouble, but you know what? I don't care whether they got into trouble on that day, because they inspired us to make sure that we formed an alliance that is going to fight back against austerity, that has helped change society, and that will make sure that when Jeremy Corbyn and John MacDonald do finally go to the polls, we'll have an opportunity to have built a movement to change our society for the better. Because what we need to do now is recognise the importance of uniting all of these factions on the left, to say to people inside and outside of the Labour Party, we can no longer talk about what part of the left we belong to, what part of the left is the right part of the left to be in. We've got to say to one another, the time has come. We have an opportunity to change our society, and if we miss this opportunity, we'll regret it forever. So it doesn't matter which faction you belong to, which part of the trade union movement you belong to, whether it's on the left side, on the right side, or the central side. This is the first time since 1945 that socialism will actually make a difference if we come together and build a movement for unstoppable change in our country. But it's going to take so I can watch the telly at home. We've got to get out there, we've got to join and build this movement, because that's how we will get change. If we want to see change where our children's lives are better than ours, because that's socialism. Socialism is about saying that our children's lives should always be better. Capital is always about saying that we accept what we've got. And I don't accept that my children should have to live in poverty or get educated into poverty by tuition fees. I believe the time has come for people in our class to understand the war that's been waged on us and join it and start the fight back. And that's what this trade union bill's all about. It's another attack. It's about dismantling further the working class structures. Now, we just saw the TUC conference a couple of weeks ago, and there was deliberately timed that during that conference to say that we will read the second stage of the trade union bill. Now, anybody who knows the history about when trade unions come under attack, and you think about 1984, when they decided to put some more attacks against the trade union movement during the TUC conference, they took the signal from that conference that they weren't going to stand up and fight back and defend those fantastic people in the NUM. And since 1984, our movement and the working class in this country has suffered. Everybody has suffered because of what they did in 1984 by failing to come and support those brave people in the NUM, fighting for jobs and fighting for their community. They should have stood up then, but now's the time to stand up, and we need the TUC. It's no time to say we're going to throw everything out. We're going to fight against the right to strike, but not going to use the right to strike. Of course we've got to use the right to strike. And I'll tell you what else we've got to be prepared to do. If it's necessary, then civil disobedience is needed. That means... every town, every city, where they've got a main street occupied. We need every council building occupied. We need those... Because that's what we're fighting for. It's about democracy. Now this week, unfortunately, for the moderates in the trade union movement, they suggested that they've been replaced by a hard-left organisation. We're not a hard-left organisation at all. We're a trade union organisation. And what we want to do is work with all the elements of the trade union organisation to build a fairer society. When our people get described as hard-left, they misunderstand. We are the people that will fight hard for those that are left behind. That's the only hard left. Fighting against 0 hours and demanding £10 an hour is revolutionary. No, it's not. It's common sense. And every single person in this country deserves those basic rights. A contract of employment, no 0-hour contract, the end of inequality where people get paid not according to their skills and their ability but according to their age, and a minimum wage that's a living wage of no less than £10 an hour. So we call on the trade union movement, we call on community groups, we call on all parts of the working class to come together, to stand with us, defend the trade union movement, defend your communities, come out and fight, and make sure we defeat this bill. Solidarity.